This is the first time I have been on this type of journey. It was actually a more relaxed atmosphere than I had expected. As my sister-in-law and I shared small talk along the way, I could hear the others in the caravan laughing and joking around. Everyone seemed to be in such good spirits, even on occasion breaking out into song. The spirit was uplifting and heartwarming. I felt as if I was among close family members. And even though most of our conversations were very casual, sharing this experience together made me feel as though I was part of something very important. All along the way, I would listen to the stories and gossip of the older members of the caravan that have made this trip so many times in the past. Most were excited and looking forward to the experience, but there were others who spoke of a corrupt faction of His Majesty Shonjo's court and how one wrong word or action could put you in danger. It seemed that these men held a great deal of power. And they used their positions and influence as ministers to create a great deal of personal wealth for themselves. At first, I wasn't sure if I believed them, but their fears seemed genuine. And even those who were at ease on our journey did not seem to deny the statements of those who were so concerned with their safety. I've had the honor of meeting many of His Majesty's soldiers, and I always felt that they were loyal and honorable subjects. It seemed hard for me to believe that there would be those so close to the king who would be able to put their own well-being ahead of the interests of the people. Accepting this as a fact made me a little uncomfortable. I hoped I would not have to deal with anyone associated with these wicked men. The sun is now high and it is signaling that midday has arrived. Our journey is half over, and as we reached the hilltop I caught my first glimpse of the castle. Although we were still a great distance away, its towering walls made it easy to be seen from so far away. Even though I've heard people describe it in the past, I found myself in complete awe at its immense size. As we got closer, I asked my sister-in-law about the gossip I heard about the king's court, and her expression shifted from her usual soft manner to one of seeming fear. She confirmed that she too knew of the corrupt members of His Majesty's court, but she advised me not to make mention of it, and if at all possible, not to involve myself with anyone who might be connected to this faction. It would be better to not even acknowledge its existence. The tone of her voice and her words were so solemn I had to wonder if there could be danger ahead. I didn't want to focus on it too much because I already had to deal with my own inner insecurities that I did not want to add to my anxiety. How is it I have so many fears and yet my brother seems so confident and at ease in any situation? My master has made this trip many times in the past and my brother many times after that. They were always successful, and I'm certain they would not have sent me here if they thought I was incapable of this vital assignment. I feel so much more at ease hammering out the iron and polishing the metals of the armor than the thought of dealing with the unknown. I hope I can overcome this fear for the sake of my family and the honor of my village. As the sun starts to set, the shadow cast by the walls of the castle begins to shade us from glare as we approach the gate. There is much activity taking place outside the palace gates, and there were many soldiers by the gates keeping an eye on the many groups gathered around. There was a certain soldier standing forward of the others, and he seemed to be directing the assignments of the other soldiers. As we got closer I started to feel some pride as I recognized that the armor he was wearing and the sword he was clutching in his left hand was something that I personally made with my own two hands. As we exchanged glances, he motioned us to come forward to discern our business. I explained we were there to deliver armament to His Majesty's garrison. He waved his hand, directing a couple of the other soldiers to inspect our wares, and after a quick inspection he received the report that all was good. I tried to step forward, but the man in charge held the handle of his sword tight against my chest to prevent me from moving. "When you return to your village, please give my greetings to your master." At that he gave the command for some of his men to escort us to the garrison to deliver the armament. We were led through a narrow passageway with high walls and guards posted all around. The mood of the guards seemed tense as we passed. So I asked one of the soldiers closest to me, "Is this your normal level of security, or did something happen to raise concerns?" He assured me it was nothing, but there were some recent reports of Japanese soldiers scouting out the area, but they haven't been able to confirm the rumors. "It is probably nothing to worry about," he stated as he moved on ahead of us to the doors of the garrison. As he reached the gate, he bowed quickly to the guard blocking the way, and they both pointed the way and opened up the passageway for us to enter. The feeling was eerie, as I was never in a situation like this before. My sister-in-law kept her head low as we entered the open area beyond the gates. There were many soldiers standing in formation as we entered, and there we were approached by two men who appeared to be in charge. The first man, a little older, large in stature, was looking us over, while the second man, a bit younger, followed closely behind. As we came within greetings distance, the younger man welcomed us and asked if we had a safe journey. The older man was still staring but saying nothing. I responded that our trip was safe and pleasant. "Good, very good," he replied. "Follow me," he said as they both turned and headed for a large building with a wide open door. The older man leading the way, never saying a word, and the younger man offering a warm smile as he looked over his shoulder as we headed inside the building. It seems strange to me that two men doing the same job could be so different from one another. As the two men stood towards the center of the room, the younger man again spoke. He raised his arms and asked that we all gather close to hear what he had to say. You will all stay here for the night, and in the morning we will take an inventory of all your wares and we will settle up as it has been the custom. Please make yourselves comfortable and get a good night's rest. While you remain here, you will remain under His Majesty Shonjo's protection. Please do not leave this area until we tell you it is safe to do so. At that, both men left the room, this time the older man looking over his shoulder and looking me directly in the eye as they exited the building. I lowered my head to acknowledge him. His gaze seemed to say many things without ever uttering a word. As we settled in for the night, there were so many elements about the day's events that kept racing through my mind, but the long trip tired me out. We gathered together and shared some food we carried along with us and fell asleep.